Hello everyone and welcome to the Eddie Proudfoot podcast. Today on our 5th episode, we're going to be talking about equipment in Dungeons & Dragons. To start, we need to talk about currency. In Dungeons & Dragons, there are 3 common coins: copper, silver, and gold. Gold is 10 silver, and a silver is 10 copper. That's it. When you look at prices, you'll see SP, GP, and CP for silver piece, gold piece, and copper piece, and that's what that means. So you're going to have a certain amount of money, and if you're trying to buy things, that's the cost you need. Plain and simple. Okay, so the first type of item that I want to talk about is armor. Armor is important in D&D because it's going to tell the DM how hard it is to hit you. That is your armor class, or AC for short. AC is, when you're not wearing armor, just 10 plus your dex mod, and if you're wearing light armor, it is going to be either 11 or 12 plus your dex mod. If you're wearing medium armor, it's 12, 13, 14, or 15 plus your dex mod, but only to a max of 2. And if you're wearing heavy armor, it is either 14, 16, 17, or 18. No additional modifiers applied. Heavy armor just says this is how hard it is to hit you, plain and simple. You can also carry a shield in one hand to improve your AC by +2. This means that the maximum AC any player can have without having magical items is 20. Subsequently, the worst AC a player can have is 10 plus their dex mod, which, remember, could be as bad as -5. There are other aspects to the armor, like strength, which is only for heavy armor, and only some of the heavy armors have a strength requirement, and if you do not meet the strength requirement, then you will suffer a movement penalty of 10 feet. Additionally, there is a column called stealth, which will say nothing or disadvantage in that column. If it says disadvantage, it means when you're wearing that armor, anytime you need to do a stealth check, you will be disadvantaged for that check. Plain and simple. Finally, with armor, there is armor proficiency. When we start looking at character builds very shortly, we are going to encounter armor proficiency. But what does armor proficiency mean? Well, it means that you don't suffer penalties for wearing those types of armor that you're proficient with. That is, if you are wearing armor, like say you're not proficient with heavy armor, then you would be disadvantaged on ability checks, saving throws, and attack rolls that involve stealth or strength. You also won't be able to cast spells. So it's not great to be wearing armor that we're not proficient with in D&D. We want to typically avoid that, but you can do it. There's just some penalties for it. So that's armor in 5th edition D&D. It's going to say how hard it is to hit you, and it's also going to impact your movement and your stealth depending on the type of armor. Now, the next thing I want to talk about in this episode is the different types of items you can buy. So D&D lists out a whole slew of items that start on page 150 and basically go to the end of chapter 5. So that would be all the way up until page 161. There's a table on page 150 that outlines all the different mundane items you can buy in D&D. It gives you the cost and their weight. The items are also listed in detail as you flip through up to page 161. You can pretty much purchase anything you want in D&D. For instance, the table has things like a holy symbol, oil, blankets, bedroll, flask, all sorts of stuff. Hammer, there's a whole bunch of different mundane items here that you can purchase. However, some items are not available for players when starting out, so please talk to your DM before purchasing anything. In other books for players, there are also items called magical items. However, please talk to your DM before assuming you can just buy these or start with them, because they are not like regular items that you can just purchase in a store. They're meant to be treasure that you can find on adventures. On page 151, there is a green box that has 7 different items in it, and these are packs. So packs are a way of just grouping a bunch of items together and saying, buy this and you get all this stuff. And they're pretty handy for just starting off adventuring. Rather than going through every single particular item looking for the right thing, you can just get one of the 7 packs, and they typically cover everything you need. Now, the last item that I want to talk about is a special type of item on page 154 called tools. And tools are special because, like armor, you can be proficient with tools. However, unlike armor, tool proficiency is more like skill proficiency. It means you get to add your proficiency bonus to rolls that involve that tool. If you have a tool but are not proficient, you can still make the check. You just simply don't get to add your proficiency bonus. What makes tool checks different from skill checks is you need to have the tool in order to perform the check. If you do not have the tool, your DM will likely not let you perform the check. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Eddie Proudfoot podcast. If you enjoyed it, please follow us on Instagram, Spotify, or Twitter. And as always, may the gods have mercy on your soul.